And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another live stream with me, Glyn from Expert Examiner IELTS. Just to give a little bit of background about who I am, I've been teaching English for the last 16 years. I've also worked as a teacher trainer. I design lessons for other teachers, and I also work as an examiner. I have to keep saying it time and time again. I am not an examiner for IELTS, but I am an examiner for a number of different international English exams, and we all work according to this CEFR, A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. It's not really a difficult thing to do this examining stuff. But I am not alone today. I'm joined by two wonderful guests. First of all, I'll pass you over to Azamat.
So, hello everybody. I guess you can hear me clearly, and I'm trying to speak up. It's like trying to speak louder. So I work as an English teacher and an IELTS instructor in Uzbekistan, in the capital city Tashkent, for more than 3 years. And yeah, and I have actually established the Telegram channel and been running this channel and been sending some useful stuff, some advice, and so on and so forth for the past 2 years probably. And yeah, it's done from my side, and I think it's time for Brick to introduce himself.
Hi, thank you, Azamat. Yes, my name is Brick. I am an English teacher from the UK, very similar to Glyn. I too am an examiner, not for IELTS though, but I am an English examiner. I'm currently teaching English in Manchester in the UK. I've taught English all over the world. I think this is my 10th or 11th year of teaching English, and I also have an IELTS YouTube channel, which you'll probably find in the link in the description to this video. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this session.
All right, thank you for your introduction, guys. I've just taken the overlays off because it was kind of blocking us. So why are we here today? I already see some questions coming through from some people, including from IELTS, who just says question. But the most important comment, of course, is coming from Samia, who says, I want to take mock test, which is great, because that's what we're doing here today. We will have a short question and answer session at the end, but we don't want to waste your time by chit-chatting. You know who we are, I hope. If you don't, please do subscribe to Azamat's IELTS Telegram channel, and also Brick does a lot of the stuff that I do. Right, free speaking tests, lots of feedback. So check out Brick at How to IELTS. A link to everyone's contact details can be found in the description to this video. But we are not here just to talk about ourselves. We are here today to give some speaking tests. And so this is how it's going to work, guys. Please pay close attention. In a moment, I am going to post a link to our StreamYard. This is where we are right now. I'm going to post a link to our StreamYard in the chat. Now, we can accept a few different people here, but once you join the StreamYard, we will then choose one candidate at random. Well, Azamat will choose one candidate at random. They will come up, we will have the speaking test, we will give some feedback, and then we will call the second. Now, once we've chosen that one person, we will ask everyone else to exit StreamYard. If you don't exit StreamYard, then we will kick you out. But enough. I'm sure you'll figure it out. I'm going to put a link to join us in the chat. That's gone in now. So there is a little bit of a delay, so you might not get the link immediately as I'm saying it, or maybe you'll get it even before I've sent it. But we have now posted the link. People will join, and then Azamat will choose one lucky candidate to go through the speaking test. I'm going to give the first speaking test, and then lucky candidate will get feedback both from Azamat and from Brick. While we're waiting, because there is sometimes a delay, Brick, do you ever get messages like this? Can you see that message highlighted?
I haven't. Yes, I get that all the time, and I do, feel for you. But in order to keep it fair, I think the best way to deal with things like that is just to have a random selection where we pick people at random. We are here to try to help everyone, but unfortunately, it will be literally impossible to pick out every single person. Yeah.
And then, Azamat, there's a message for you. Can you see that? And do you recognize this person?
Yeah, I can see that, but I can't recognize him. So, Schrop Ulkanov. I hope he must be a follower of my channel. And yeah,
It's a nice name, isn't it? Sukhrob.
Yeah.
Cool. So we do have a few people waiting backstage. As I said, we do have a kind of a strict deadline, but I will just wait 30 seconds more. I will just wait 30 seconds more. So the link to join us is in the Telegram chat. I'm now showing that there. In a moment, we will have the waiting room full, and we will choose one of these candidates. Let's have a look.
There's quite a few IELTS YouTube channels in the comments, which is interesting. There's IELTS DIP. There was another one. There's another one called IELTS. I know you mentioned that earlier. Hi, Naeem, by the way. I know I recognize you from my WhatsApp group, my IELTS WhatsApp group.
So the studio is now full. The studio is now full, so anyone else trying to access through this link right now won't be able to join. And since the studio is full, I guess that means it's time to call on our first candidate. Let's have a look.
I've got my pen and paper ready, by the way, to give feedback along with my rubric.
Nice. Azamat, can you give me a number between 1 and 6?
1 and 6. Well, I go 4.
4. So congratulations to Asad Bek. You have been chosen, so congratulations. The rest of you guys, I'll ask you to leave, of course. I will post that link again, and you can join. You can try to get on for the next test. But the first candidate, remember, we're going to do 2 speaking tests today. The first candidate is Asad Bek. So I will ask everyone who is not Asad Bek to leave the studio now. Asad Bek, would you like to say anything before you start your test?
Hi everyone, my name is Asad Bey. I'm from Uzbekistan.
Awesome. Are you ready? Oh, when are you planning to take your IELTS test?
Within the 2 weeks, I hope.
And are you planning to take general IELTS or academic IELTS?
Academic IELTS.
Cool. And what would be a good score for you?
Actually, I'm planning to get at least 7.5, but I hope it would be great to get 8.
Cool. All right. Well, best of luck to you in your test. I will begin in a moment. I will be asking the questions. Azamat will give you a bit of feedback, and then Brick is going to give you a little bit more detailed feedback. But let's start. Good evening. My name is Glyn. Would you please tell me your full name?
Hi, my full name is Biknur Asad Bey, and you can call me Asad Bey.
Thank you. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Do you work or do you study?
Currently, I'm studying at the university in the 3rd grade, and I'm planning to apply for my master's degree next year.
And what would you like to do when you finish your studies?
As I said, I'm planning to apply for my master's degree, but I think before it, I'm gonna work at the learning center in order to get some knowledge in the field of management, because I'm planning to apply in this field.
Let's talk about public transport now. How often do you use public transport?
I would say always, because I'm a student, and at least I use 5 days in a week to travel from my home to the university and back to my home. It took about 2 hours to reach the place and 2 hours to come back, and totally it will be 4 hours.
And how good is the public transport where you live?
Mm, I I think it's quite good, especially the metro stations, subway. It was modernized 2 years ago, so it's much. It became much convenient nowadays.
And if you had a long journey, would you rather go by car or by train?
Uh, it depends on the situation. I mean, if the event is mm, crucial, and the time is limited, I would go by car. But if I have uh, time, more time, I would choose the public transport instead.
Mhm. Now let's talk about shoes. Do you have a favorite pair of shoes?
Uh, yeah, I have. It's flip flops. It's much convenient for me, especially my feet are like you cannot wear shoes, closed shoes. I prefer flip flops in summer, and in the other seasons. It's much convenient to wear.
And how often do you buy new shoes?
Uh, in the first months of each season, according to the weather. So in total, it will be 4 times in a year.
And have you ever bought shoes online?
No, never, because it's hard to find the proper shoes on the internet for myself because my feet are bigger than other people in my country.
And what's more important for you with shoes, comfort or style?
I would go with comfort because whenever the person wears uncomfortable thing, their feet will get hard, and eventually it will lead to the bleeding. So I think it's much better to look on the comfortability than the style.
Okay, thank you. Now, in this next part of the test, I'm going to give you a topic, and I would like you to speak about this topic for 1 to 2 minutes. But before that, you will have 1 minute to prepare for your talk, and you may take notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yeah, of course.
Mhm. I will now share the topic on my screen. Can you see the topic?
Yeah.
Mhm. I'd like you to describe an energetic person that you know. Your 1 minute of preparation time starts now. Okay, so that's the end of your preparation time. To remind you, you will have between 1 and 2 minutes to give your talk, and I will let you know when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
Huh? There are lots of people whom I can say that they are energetic, and I'm gonna talk about my close friend Bejos. I know him after applying to the specialized boarding school. We studied together in the same group. I know him as an energetic person. I consider him as an energetic person just because he tries all the time new things. He is, for me, as an innovator person. If he sees something new, if he, let's say, new restaurant in the area, right? He will go there no matter what. Or let's say if there is a new project done by the government, he always tries to convince me to go with him to attend in that projects. Uh, and he's always trying to be the group leader in that project. He's kind of the person who wants to be in the center of the group, and everybody he wants to manage everybody. So for me, he's an energetic in the way that like he wants to give all his efforts to the thing that he wants to learn or achieve. Uh, and for me, it's good thing that everybody should have because whenever the person tries everything, when he or she tries
Okay,
his or her
thank you.
thing.
Thank you. All right, so you've been talking about the energetic person you know. Let's talk about enthusiastic people now. Do you think some people are naturally more enthusiastic than others?
Yeah, I think so. Uh, I think that people are the ones we are calling ambiverts or extroverts. They born like that, or uh, they have naturally, I don't know, ability to talk with everyone in every topic. So I think the natural one can exist.
And do you think it's always a natural thing, or do you think that people can actually learn to become more enthusiastic?
Uh, they can learn because environment can affect them. Whenever the person have good friends in a good group, they can openly say their thoughts and learn something from their friends who is enthusiastic also. And the way they are acting, the way they are talking, is the way they are expressing themselves, they can learn from their friends.
Why do some people dislike people who are too enthusiastic?
Uh, Sometimes that kind of enthusiastic people might be annoying. They try to rule everybody or say uh, something that's not really on the topic. So other people might get annoyed of listening to them.
Now let's move on and talk about introverts. What are the benefits of being more introverted?
Uh, the I don't think there are good things on being the introvert person, but from what I've listened from my friends, that when the person is introverted, they will analyze every person that every people surrounded them, like the behavior of them, whom they can trust and to whom they cannot trust. They can literally know to whom they can trust fully and for whom they cannot trust.
And what are the most obvious downsides of being more introverted?
They will get isolated and they cannot trust to everybody. They will suspect some the people who wants to be just nice to them. They feel like frustrated listening to others and do not want to be in a group, which eventually leads them be uh, to be isolated and cannot cope with works done in the teamwork.
Mhm. And some people say that technology makes us more introverted. What do you think?
No, no, I don't think so. When this statement is given, many people thought that people will sit all the day and looking to other people's social in the other people in the social media platforms, and they do not talk with others. But I think it just not true all the time. But it will eventually to talk with their friends or close people more. They will just send memes or videos that is interesting to them to their friends or their close people.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of the test. So, firstly, I'm going to pass you on to Azamat. I want to hear just a couple of general bits of feedback from Azamat, and then we will go to Brick for scores. Now, I have posted, just before we go to the feedback, I have posted in the chat 2 times. Please don't join the studio when there is a test in progress. When we are ready for the next candidates, we will invite you to the studio. Please don't join the studio. Throughout all the test, I have to just keep kicking people out. Please don't do it. Anyway. If you as an audience, if you guys would like to leave what score you think the candidate got in the chat, feel free to do that. But we'll go to Azamat for just some general thoughts on Asadbek's performance.
Well, generally speaking, he did quite well, but I guess the probably the most biggest area, let's say the biggest area that he has to work is his confidence. It's like he was a bit embarrassed, and he was a bit shy, especially in, I guess I've written it down. Well, especially in part one when you asked questions about shoes, when he was answering, when he was saying something about his flip-flops, right? And then he was kind of a bit embarrassed. He was a bit shy, and then he knew that, or let's say he thought that he hadn't done well. That's why that must have influenced his confidence. And then apart from that, I guess he has to work on his pronunciation a bit. Like I guess yeah, well, yeah, he said innovative or something like this, but I guess that correct pronunciation is innovative. And then there is another word. He said there. It's like similar to there, right? A pronoun, but it should be the. I went there, not there. It's like certain patterns, but in general it was okay. And yeah, some grammatical mistakes were also let's say present. I think in, well, yeah, in part two, he could have used it a bit more sophisticated language. He Most of the time he used simpler sentences, simpler structures, but he could have, instead, for example, he could have said something about leadership, right? Instead of let's say saying he always tries to manage everyone, he could have said his leadership skills are blah blah blah, right? So something like this. And yeah, in part three, I think he has to work on reasoning. It's like he certainly lacked deeper explanations, and especially with introverts. With the introverts part. Yeah, this is, I guess, it from my side.
We'll go over. Thank you for your feedback, Azmat. You mentioned a couple of things that I really wanted to say too, but we'll pass it over to Brick.
Hi. First of all, well done just for taking the time out and doing this in front of such a big audience live. That's always very difficult to do. So the way I've structured my feedback is we'll go over the things that I really liked, and then we'll go down. I made a few notes for part 1, part 2, and part 3. Then at the end, I will give some points on how you can further improve. Okay, so the strengths. So again, well done for doing this in front of everyone. For part 1, the thing I really liked is that you really you did very well in extending your answers. So I think it was when you talked about person, you just had like almost like a topic sentence and then extended it by adding on more information, and I think you did that very well. Let me just see more. Yeah, so there were 2 topics for public transport. I would have liked it if you used more vocabulary that's a bit more specific to public transport. For example, you could have talked more about taxis, buses, Uber, this sort of thing, just mentioning these terms that are directly related to the topic at hand. So I did think you could improve on that. And the reason why I mentioned that is because you did actually do that for the next topic. So for shoes, you said you talked about flip-flops, and that was really nice. And then you talked about, you know, having wide feet. Again, this terminology directly related to the topic. You did it very naturally. Good. There was a point where you compared 2 things. I didn't quite catch. I wasn't able to make notes on what you compared. But that comparison, I do remember it was slightly off. So if you go ahead, so if you go back after this live is finished and you just watch this video, just focus on part 1. There was a part of where you compared and it was grammatically a bit off. Yeah, so that's for part 1. For part 2, there was a moment where the grammar part, when you're talking about the past, you did that really well. So you were talking, I think, about your friend, and he said we studied together using the past tense there. You did that really well. I didn't make much notes for part 2. For part 3, I think this is the part which really kind of exposed many things. So I do think when you were talking about introvert, we could have added a bit more substance. So there wasn't much really said. I think there were a few pauses and they started to become a bit more apparent. Again, I understand that does happen. Very similar to Azamat, I would have liked it if you were to extend your answers or reason a little bit more. I kind of made the almost identical notes there. I'm just reading more of my notes. Yeah, again, for part 3, if it was, we could have added a bit more coherence. Yeah, so that was my overall feedback. Again, I do appreciate that you're doing this live in front of everyone. But yeah, that was my feedback regarding the score. Are we giving scores out, Glyn?
Yeah, I was hoping you'd give scores. I'm certainly going to give scores for the next candidate.
Okay. Well, there was a moment where there was like a pause for like a 30-second, 40-second mark. So I couldn't take much note there. But I think for this, we are definitely around the top end of a band 6 and some components of a band 7. I would have to look at this again and just to be a bit more accurate. But it would probably be a 6.5 or a 7 overall. I'm just looking at my notes if you see me looking down. If you were to ask me on the spot, I would probably say 6.5. Maybe if I look at it again, it might be a 7. Yeah, that would be my feedback.
So we will go to Asadbek in a moment. So when we think of 6.5, I always think, well, which 2 criteria are at band 7? I don't know, Brick, Azamat, for me, the bands, the points where he's closest to band 7, probably grammar and vocab. Would you agree with that?
100%. I was literally I thought he was going to ask me first. I would have said the exact same things, lexical resource and grammar. You did really well, and to be honest with you, those are the two. In my opinion, I think those two areas are the harder. Those are the harder two components. So the fact that you did the highest in those, you should feel really good about that.
And Azamat?
Well, yeah, his grammar and vocab was better than the other components probably.
Now, I was spending a lot of time kicking people from the studio because so many people were joining. So I wasn't actually listening to the answers so much. One thing I did notice, and I think Azamat mentioned it, Azamat definitely mentioned it, sometimes your body language is a bit negative, right? When you were talking about your shoes, I thought your answer about the shoes was absolutely fine. And then I looked at your reaction and you were like putting your hand over your mouth and you were like, oh no, what have I done? It's okay. It's really all right if you mess up one or two of the questions. The reason why the test is 15 minutes long is because we understand people are going to be nervous. People are going to be a little bit freaked out. They're not going to perform at the best of their level. And that's why we have 15 minutes, not like 5 minutes, but we have 15 minutes because we understand one or two questions might go wrong. So if one or two questions don't go exactly how you want them to, I know it's easy to say, but try to stay positive because, if you get one question wrong, it's not going to affect your score at all. But if you spend the rest of the test thinking like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that in part one, it's going to affect the other parts of your test. But while you're here, Asadbek, you've had a bit of feedback from all of us. Do you have any questions for any of us, either about feedback or about anything else or any comments?
Yeah, of course I have. About the fluency, I have lots of mistakes, I would say, and I don't know how to fix it. Sometimes the topics itself, the things that I didn't think about before, like the shoes, and I didn't think about before, like whether I like them or not. I was just wearing them, but I really didn't know why I'm choosing that. So that's why it was the questions that was tricky in some way. So I don't know how to fix that.
See, that would be such a nice answer, right? The thing that you're saying now, when you say like, do you buy what's more important for you, style or comfort? If you just say something like, you know what, I just don't think about this. For me, shoes are just something that I wear, and I don't think about whether I care about comfort. That's an answer, right? You can verbalize your thoughts. You don't need to have the right answer to everything. What you just said there about shoes, I think would have been a brilliant answer.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know. You can say.
Okay. Yeah. Just to add on to what Glyn was saying. First of all, I completely agree with everything you said there, and also just bear in mind that there's no right or wrong answer in terms of like if somebody asks you your opinion on something. The examiner's not checking, did he give the right answer? Did he not give the right answer? They're just checking your English skills. We're just measuring your English proficiency. So if you, as Glenn said, if you just mentioned what you said just before, you would have been fine. Okay. And I also noticed that as well when you were talking about the introvert person. And it's a difficult question, that introvert. But if you just said, like, I don't really think about introvert that much, to be honest, I don't even know if I have any friends who are introverts, and just carry on like that, I think you would have done a lot better. But I think what you were trying to do was trying to find out, like, define what an introvert is. I think, this friend of mine, he's an introvert because introverts do this. I think if we just a bit more natural, you should be fine. This, it kind of just comes through practice. I hate to give that answer. It's a bit of a lazy answer, but I think practice alone can solve most people's problems.
I do have a video on fluency, by the way.
Got it.
Go to my channel and type in the word fluency. I think it's quite a decent video. It might give you some ideas. But I have a really bad habit, Asadbek, where I speak and I speak and I speak, and we're on kind of a strict schedule here. So I'll just ask you, do you have any other final comment or final question before we move on to the next candidate?
No, it's totally good. It's totally fine. Thank you for your time, for the time you spent for me.
You're very welcome. Thank you for being so brave, coming on and speaking in front of these people. best of luck to you in your real test. I hope you eventually get that 7 or 7.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you.
Well done, well done. Keep it up, man.
Have a good day.
Yeah. Agree. People are still joining the studio. So I'm gonna kick you now, Asadbek. Or at least I'm going to remove you from the stage. See ya. People are still joining the studio right now, and it's driving me crazy. So Hayatbek, I've asked many times, please do not join the studio until we have until we make the announcement. I'm going to kick you again. Oh, he's gone. Nice. That worked. All right. Azamat and Brick, anything else you want to say before we take on the next candidate?
Nothing from my side. Just a fact, other than thank you for guys for joining and for the engagement here. Please subscribe to all of our channels. But yeah, I think we're about to pick our next person. Just after Azamat say something. Yeah.
No. Let's choose the next candidate.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did notice like comment. And I think it was from our dearest Olivia. So Olivia's been a candidate on the channel before. An amazing speaker. I think she got 8.5, something like this. Just an amazing speaker. But the comment she said was like, this isn't fair. And it's like, we're trying to be fair. We're trying to make the selection process as open as possible. Of course, you can see in the chat, a lot of people, please give me an opportunity. Please give me an opportunity. Please give me an opportunity. We try to dedicate as much time as possible to helping as many people as possible, but it will never be possible to help everybody. So I am sorry for that. But I am now going to post the link to the studio again. I have now posted that. The studio will fill up and Azamat will choose the next candidate again. And if you are not happy, guys, if you are not happy with Azamat's choice, go and subscribe to Azamat's Telegram channel and write to him and say, why didn't you choose me? Don't go to me and say that. Don't go to Brick. Go to Azamat because Azamat is the one who is going to choose. Now, Azamat, can you see our studio filling up with lovely people here?
Well.
I don't know if you can see it or not.
Well, no.
No? Okay, in that case, I'll ask you to give me a number again between...
Yeah. Sorry, just whilst you're speaking.
Go on, Brick.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, Glenn, Azamat, and myself, for those of you who are watching, prior to this, we were speaking on how we can pick a student in the fairest way possible. So it's not like we just thought of this idea just now. But if you guys can think of another way that makes everything completely fair, pop it in the comments below, and then we will discuss this offline. But yeah, we do try to be as fair as possible. Yeah, I just wanted to add that part in.
Yeah, thank you.
So the studio, just to make that announcement, the studio is now full, right? On StreamYard, we can have a maximum of 10 people. 3 people, me, Brick, and Azamat, are on the stage. And then there are 7 people backstage. Nobody else can join. That's a StreamYard thing. I think if I pay $1,000 per year, they allow me to have 40 people, something like this. I am not paying $1,000 a year to use the streaming service. Yeah. Okay, so if you can't see anyone, Azamat, I will ask you again to give me a number between 1 and 7.
Oh, well. Let's go for 7 this time.
7. So that is, let's bring this person on the stage. This person doesn't have a microphone activated or a camera activated. Naeem Khan?
Yeah. So
Awesome. Can you hear us okay?
yeah, is it okay to hear? Yes.
Yep, I can hear. Can we get the camera in one place? Sorry, Glenn, I didn't mean to speak over you there.
Not at all. This is your test. So, oh, we've lost.
He left?
We've lost the candidate.
Yeah.
We'll give him. That's him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
Cool. This is your candidate, Brick. So I'll let you say hello to the candidate first. When you're ready to start, feel free to start, and I'll take some notes on the performance.
Okay, let me keep the phone.
Hi, Naeem. Just before we begin,
Yeah.
Naeem, can we just get your camera in one place? Just because the audience and myself, actually, we're all going to feel dizzy.
Okay. Which camera should I
Just let me
turn
know
off?
when you're ready. No, don't turn it off. Just keep it in one place. That's fine. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, Tamim.
Right.
Okay, just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. 1 minute, please.
Okay, you will have to be quick though because there's people waiting.
Well, I think he's at
Okay,
home.
now I'm okay.
Oh, yeah.
No, hide that.
Okay. Right, we're just gonna start in a moment. Are we okay to go, Glenn?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Good afternoon. My name is Brick. Would you please tell me your full name?
Okay. My full name, MD Naim Khan. I will be happy if you call me just Khan.
Okay, thank you, Khan. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. So, what town or city do you live in?
Well, currently I'm living in the Sylhet, which is a small city, and I have been living there. It's been over 10 years, and I'm looking to stay there until I death.
Okay. And what do you like most about this place?
Well, what I love most about my hometown, firstly, I would say the environment are really standard, and there are a number of picturesque places where I can go and I can spend quality time. I can invite other cities people, and my cities people are very kind. So whenever I need any kind of support, I really get it. So I really appreciate these two things, like the place and the people.
Okay. And is there anything you'd like to change about this place?
Yeah, definitely. If I have chance, definitely, I would like to change the education system. This, though it's very good, it could be improved further. Like there is no multinational studies tools, so it could be improved. Then there will be effortless for the student to study by staying at house and get more information study related.
Okay. Let's now talk about fashion. Do you see yourself as a fashionable person?
Well, to be very honest, I haven't think about it, but in the future, like I'm looking like whenever I will complete my college, then I will try to start doing exercise, and I will try to have a good shape of my body, and maybe I can consider myself that time as a fashioner, or I will try to be engaged in this segment.
Okay. And what kind of clothes do you wear most often?
Well, the clothes I often wear is a t-shirt. It's very comfortable. For example, if I want to go at my college, I can wear it. On the other hand, if I staying at my house, I can wear it. And the main case of wearing t-shirt, it's really gives me pleasure and comfortable to talk to people, and just as well as taking picture. If I take picture by wearing t-shirt, it goes to my body perfectly. So that is why I wear t-shirt very often.
Okay. And do you enjoy shopping for new clothes?
To be very honest, I love window shopping. When I go around the shopping mall, that time I love to do shopping for me. Like I buy that time when it's come to necessary. So I don't think so. I do a lot of shopping for fashion.
Okay. Now let's talk about chocolate. How often do you eat chocolate?
Well, there is no specific time. Maybe twice a day. Uh, I love to eat chocolate because it tastes very tempting, and I feel very good because of sweet. And whenever I just complete my one lesson or two lesson. That time I love to have it in order to give me entertainment, in order to give myself as a reward. And it's really helped me to study. It's really helped me to hit the books with consistent mind.
Okay. And do you have a favorite kind of chocolate?
My go-to chocolate would be dark chocolate, though it's in my country it's like uh, sugar free. It's sugar free, so I love it because not much tasty like that cannot affect my teeth. So that's why I love it, and I love it a lot.
Okay, now let's move on to the next part of this test. So, in this part of the test, I'm going to give you a topic, and I would like you to speak about this topic for 1 to 2 minutes. But before that, you will have 1 minute to prepare for your talk. You may take notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so I will now share the topic on your screen. Okay, so you can see the topic, yeah?
Yeah.
And your 1 minute starts now.
Interesting.
Okay, so that's the end of your preparation time. To remind you, you will have between 1 and 2 minutes to give your talk, and I will let you know when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
So if I be honest with you, so I'm from Sylhet, so there are different kind of buildings are available, historical and modern buildings. So I love to visit different kind of places in order to explore something exceptional. So I'm going to talk about an interesting building. So it's been 1.5 year I went a place which called Sri Mongol, and it's hidden away from my city. So I went there with my friends. So it was like in the evening, we were just gossiping, and my friend suddenly told me that to have a night out in the town. So we just decided to go there randomly, and the building we couldn't see in the day in the night as we went there in the night. So when we woke up from the sleep, so I saw that the building is maybe over 20 years old, and it was a weather beaten building. Like there was 5 floor, so it looks was very amazing. Like as the weather was beaten, the building on top of the 3 floors was weather beaten, and the bottom of 2 floor was quite good. So why I love this building, because it was very organized, and it seems to me very interesting because of the building decoration. Is it built over 200 years ago? It looks like modern building, as well as it has been made in different kind of things, um, by different kind of things. So on top of the floor, there has been designed by architect. So in the bottom floor, there was a parking system. So it was really convenient for the tourist, as it a resort. So people love to go there, and it is a great place to take pictures and upload it on the
Okay,
social media.
thank you. Thank you. So we've spoken about buildings, and now we will talk about buildings in a bit more detail. So, why do so many cities have really tall buildings?
So I would say it depends on the city and the individual's preference. So maybe they love to have this kind of tall building because the convenience side, like whenever they wish to stay there comfortably, they can stay, and whenever they would like to invite their friend, they can invite. So what kind of things they love to do, they can do there, like playing any kind of indoor sport, maybe taking picture, maybe having meal, arranging any kind of party. That would be the reason.
Okay. And what are the main advantages of living in a big city?
Well, there are a number of advantages of living in a large city. So firstly, see different kind of people in the large city. There live actually wide range of people from the different culture, from the different regions. So in order to being adapt with people, it's really convenient. Secondly, maybe they are provided different kind of uh, facilities like hospital or educational, as there large amount of people live. So it's really effortless for people to get this kind of facility compared to small city. And thirdly, I would say that the advantage of living in a large city would be uh, do whatever you want. Like if you would like to go in the restaurant, you can go immediately because you will get everything hand in hand. So it's gonna help to do everything in time, like hangouting, eating meal, or this kind of thing.
Okay. And are there any disadvantages of living in a big city?
Yeah, there might have some disadvantages, like uh, as the large city around number of people live there, so there might some crowd can be created by the people, by the traffic, so people may feel bored. Although it's good, it has some advantages, it carries as well as disadvantages, like the crowded place. So it's better to live if people live in a small city, so they can see the free space, they can enjoy the nature instead of staying in a large city. So large city also carries, like if I say a large city on things more, you will see different kind of people, you will meet different kind of people. So that sometime every now and then it's gonna create some accident for you if you don't understand any people perfectly, and if you be engaged with them, so uh, they can they can feel you something in accident way, like hijacking your mobile phone, your wallet. So crime
Okay.
related
And
disadvantage you might find.
thank you. And what's the main difference between living in the city and living in the countryside?
Well, there are distinguished between urban and countryside. So firstly, if I go with village side, so the people of village side are so down to the earth for all kind of people, because they love to live by being with each other, supporting each other, as well as one more advantage would be getting the fresh vegetable, fresh meal. And so on the other hand, a large city, some advantages would be the uh, educational facilities, the marketing facilities, shopping facilities, and advertising facilities, as well as for the business industry. I would say it seems to me a large city is very convenient.
Okay. And some people think that living in the countryside is boring. Why do you think that is?
Well, in my way of thinking, it would be like seeing the own things again and again. So as the trend is increasing with the development of innovation, so there are in the village side, there is not increasing, like people are seeing the same things again and again. If I say about hospital, there is no there though there are some hospital educational institutions as well, these are not modernized. So as people are
Oh,
seeing the different kind of things, so maybe they have test in out of the box. So that is why maybe they dislike.
okay. Thank you. We have now come to the end of this test. Thank you.
All right, thanks for that test, Brick, and thanks, Naeem, for your wonderful performance. We'll go to Azamat first for some general comments and reaction.
Well. He was confident, and I would say I liked it. He was confident. He tried to express himself very clearly, and yeah, he tried to use some great vocabulary in all the parts. You know, part one, part two, part three, which is I think really great. Um, but you know, at some points, I guess he mispronounced certain words, and yeah, he also had some little grammatical mistakes. I guess it's like tense. I guess yeah, mostly with tenses and sometimes with to be. You know, some minor grammatical mistakes, but I don't think that they're gonna affect the communication and to the comprehension. Well, and in part three, when Brick asked the difference between living in the countryside and in cities, right? I guess the candidate didn't actually cover the countryside part, probably. I mean, he talked. I remember he talked about the people living, in the countryside, but not the countryside itself. Well, I think that was a bit off topic, but generally speaking, he did pretty well.
All right, I guess we'll go to me. So I've taken some notes. So first, I love how confident you are. You feel very comfortable speaking English, which is a great thing. And it's not always easy to speak in front of a live audience like this. So I'm going to make a few comments. Let's go through it part by part. So fluency and coherence, first of all. Generally, you extend your answers. We don't have the problem that your answers are too short, but sometimes we have the problem that your answers are too long. Like when Brick asked you, like, what are the advantages of living in a big city? Like the first half of your answer I felt was fine, and then I just lost focus and I couldn't really follow your answer after that, and I could see that Brick was like trying to get to the next question. So while of course we don't want our answers to be too short, we also have to keep in mind that examiners have their own time limits, and your answers shouldn't go on and on and on and on and on forever. That can certainly affect fluency and coherence. You do have a nice range of connectives, like you used in order to. I liked how you used whenever to, like whenever I da 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 da, I da 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 da. I thought that was quite strong. Some of the answers, like I say, I found a little bit difficult to follow, and I was thinking like, well, in part two, what is this place? I heard it's like Sri Mongol or Tree Mongol or something, but still.
Yes, Sri Mongol.
Yeah, the test that I often ask myself, right, is if my friend walked through the door right now and said, okay, tell me about this place, tell me about this building that Naeem spoke about, I wouldn't be able to say anything. I would only be able to say, well, it's Tree Mongol, and I know that, it's a weather-beating building, but I don't know if it's a theater or if it's a museum or if it's a community center or if it's a shop or something, or a castle or a mosque or something like this. I don't know if you mentioned it, but to me, it felt like your focus was not so much on the building. It felt like your focus was on like this trip that you had to with your friend. And so for me, that brings your fluency and coherence down to a band 6 in total. If you can, and I know it's not always an easy thing to do, but if you can stay focused on the question, I think you should expect to get a band 7 without too much difficulty for fluency and coherence. But for me, it's a band 6 because some parts in part 3 and especially in part 2, I got a little bit lost. Grammar, I think, is your weakest point. I think, while you are very fluent, very often we see that candidates who are fluent tend to be less accurate. Candidates who are accurate tend to be less fluent. You have a lot of mistakes, like you repeat you repeat this like if be honest, or if I be honest, instead of if I am honest. This is a very basic mistake in English, this verb to be, like I am, you are, he is. If I'm honest, you even repeated if I'm honest quite a few times. You said like hang outing instead of hanging out. You said like small city instead of small cities. There were quite a few mistakes with like singular nouns versus plural nouns. Are you from Bangladesh, by the way?
Yeah, I'm from Bangladesh.
Because I noticed this happens a lot with candidates from Bangladesh. Like they often find it difficult to choose between the singular nouns and the plural nouns. So, you know, if I have like one phone, many phones,
Yeah.
and I noticed that many candidates from Bangladesh often mix those up. Like they say, I bought a phones, but then they say like, oh, I like dog instead of I like dogs in general. So for me, these are like systemic or systematic mistakes in English, quite basic mistakes. Azamat is right that your grammar mistakes don't stop us from understanding, which is great. And you do attempt some complex grammar. But for me, the accuracy, because, you know, almost every sentence, maybe not every sentence, but I would say 60-70% of your sentences have some small grammar mistake here or there. Now, for band 8, we need a majority of sentences without any mistakes. For band 7, we have to say that there are frequent sentences without mistakes. And if we don't have that, frequent sentences without mistakes, you have to drop to a maximum of band 6. So not because of the range of grammar, but because of the accuracy, I'm actually giving a score of 5 for grammar. Many people tell me I'm too generous with my marking, and I see in the comments a lot of people say 6, some people say 7. So for me, fluency and coherence is a band 6. Your grammar is your weakest part. It's 5. The good news is your vocabulary is very strong, and I've given you a band 7 for vocabulary. I loved things like weather-beaten building. I really liked that. You said like my go-to chocolate. I thought that was really natural, the way that you used that. At times, it felt a little bit like you were trying to overuse grammar. You said like, oh, when I study, when I hit the books. And it felt a little bit like you were correcting yourself when you didn't need to, just to try to use like more difficult vocab. And I don't like this like unnatural use of vocab. Like it felt like you were trying to use like hit the books and some other bits of stuff. So the precision of the vocab maybe slightly not good enough for the 8, but for me, you do have enough vocab, C1 vocab band 7. Pronunciation, I've given you a 6. I feel it's quite easy to understand you. I don't need to pay too much attention, but you know, you do have some problems with like the th sound. I know in English it's horrible, like the t and the th, like you talked about your teeth instead of your teeth. Sometimes with the S, I think you said like spend instead of spend. No, these are not big mistakes with pronunciation, but again, when we think about like how many mistakes there are and how often the mistakes appear, you know, a generous examiner could give you a higher score, but I will give you a 6 for pronunciation. And so for me, the score is 5, 6, 7, 6 or 5, 7, 6, 6. That means overall you get a band 6. The most pressing piece of advice that I would give you is just to think about the question. Think about what they're asking you. If they're asking you to describe a building, make sure you focus on the building. If they're asking you, you know, what's the difference between living in the countryside and the city, make sure that, you know, you talk about both of those things. But I think your English level is great. And I hope, you know, in the test, I will not be surprised if you get a 7. For me, your score and performance today is a 6. But, you know, you could get 6.5, you could get 7. I'll go to you, Naeem. Do you have any comments or any questions for us?
Okay, so I'm really glad to be with you and in this test. But I would say that I have around 8 days remaining for the final test of mine. So I guess I will consider it as a great experience to being with native speaker. So it's gonna help me in the final test. And I just note down your feedback. I will try to follow this kind of thing, that I will not make mistake in my upcoming test. So I'm really happy to see my weaknesses, and inshallah I will try to overcome it.
Well, yeah, best of luck. I know grammar is often a difficult thing to improve, right? It's like it takes time to study that grammar. So I think in 8 days, you probably aren't going to make much progress with grammar. But for fluency and coherence, I really think you should get that 7. And like I say, you might get that 7 in pronunciation. I think you will definitely get 7, maybe even an 8 in vocab, possibly. So you're not far away from the 7. But I don't know, Azamat Brick, do you have anything else you want to say to our dear candidate before we let him go?
No, on your final points, I pretty much agree. With 8 days left, there's not much you can do with grammar, so I would just play it tactically now and just focus on the other areas that you can improve on. I think the one thing that kind of stood out for me in terms of what you can improve, I know Glyn and Azamat both mentioned it, was some of the answers were just too long, and when your answers are too long, you can actually lose coherence. So imagine if somebody asks you, "Oh, how's your day been?" but then you speak for 5 minutes. It's like, it's a bit too long. That it's not a natural way to do this. So I would definitely. It is a skill. Oh, sorry. Yep.
For that answer, for the question, I have forgotten like what the question was. So
Yeah.
I just try to how can I cover it? So that maybe bring me
that's
down.
fine. Yeah. Just remember that these points are only to help you. That's it. It's not to, oh, you did this, you did that. It's only so you can use this to improve on. Okay. So we're all here to help.
Like I said to the previous candidate, if you forgot what the question was, tell the examiner, say, "Oh my God, I can't believe this has happened, but I've actually forgotten what the question was. Can we move on to the next one?" For me, that's a perfectly natural thing to say. I say that every day because my memory isn't very good, right? It's okay to do this, especially in part 3. So don't feel like you always have to find the right answer. If you forget what the question was, just say, "You know what? I've forgotten what the question was. Can you remind me?" Or, "I've forgotten what the question was. Let's move on to the next one." That's absolutely fine to do that.
Okay. I will keep it in my mind.
Cool. Azamat, any final words to say before we leave this lovely candidate?
No. I completely agree with your and Rick's sides, and yeah, he can make it with slight improvements, especially for lexical resource. He can definitely get that 8. He really has to use vocab, let's say, in a more natural way. I guess there were some parts that felt unnatural, but yeah, those mistakes can be corrected within the remaining 8 days. And I hope best of luck.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Naeem. All the best to you, my friend. All righty then. So I know, Brick, you are a little bit pressed for time, maybe Azamat too. Do we have maybe 5-10 minutes to ask if the audience have any questions? So I will ask now if the audience has any questions. Feel free to throw them in. Yeah, it's over. We already lost the studio, somebody says. I will just highlight some comments while we're going through. So, Brick, you asked where people are from.
Sorry, can I just quickly mention something there, Glenn? A lot of people, I am reading all the comments. A lot of people are asking, where can you do this from? I did post it, but I don't think it went through. So Glenn and and I'm not sure if Azamat does this as well, but we do carry out mock tests on a regular basis. So you can join our groups. I know Glenn and Azamat both have a Telegram group. I too have a WhatsApp group, not a Telegram group yet, but you can join there, and we do pick out people from there as well to have mock tests with ourselves. So, this isn't over. I don't want you guys to think that you just missed out and that's it. Join our groups, be active, speak to other members in our communities, and we're all here to help.
Yeah, and I will echo that. I mean, Brick does quite a lot of speaking tests. I do an incredible number of speaking tests. I do like three free speaking tests every week, pretty much. I do a bunch of writing checks too. So I spend a hell of a lot of time. So of course I'm doing it. Brick's doing it. Who knows? Maybe one day Azamat will introduce this feature too. So yeah, you can join our Telegram. Keep up to date. I try to do, but it doesn't matter how many I do, there will always be somebody, unfortunately, that I won't be able to speak to. Samia Sultana asks, is it possible to next time take the mock test? Well, My answer to this, Samia, is you have just as much chance as anybody else, right? Just as much chance as anybody else, but also keep in mind that there are 100 people in the same situation as you who says, well, why not me? Why not me? Why not me? And so for us, the best way, the fairest way to do it is just to randomize it and say, okay, we will put the name of everybody in. That's what I do. I count the name, count the number of applicants. I ask Google to give me a random number between 1 and 100, and then I choose that applicant. Samia asks, is it possible to take mock again? Eventually, yes. Let's have a look. Oh, we have a viewer from China.
China, yeah. So Wong is hi Wong. Wong is in my WhatsApp group. Is a very active member there. I have promised him I will do a speaking mock test with him. And there has been a delay, and unfortunately, there as Glinken mentioned as well, there is always a bit of a delay, just because if there's 100 people and only 3 slots available, 97 people just have to try again, unfortunately. But Wong, you are on my list. I have not forgotten.
我也
Thanks for
要一
joining, by
个
the way.
中国人的学生。Cool. So nice to have a Chinese person here, I must say. Azatbak, привет.
That's greeting in Russian.
Ну,
You
как
must know
дела?
it, Glyn, right? Yes.
Конечно же. Ты что? Ты что ты?
Да.
Russian. I'm showing off all of my languages.
Yeah.
Я люблю выебываться. That's the correct word, I think. Any other comments coming in here? Do you want to conduct live mock tests continuously? I did one where I had like 8 in a row, and it was difficult to do 8 in a row.
Yeah. I really like this doing 2, because initially I thought we were going to do 3, but 2 I think is a good number, because we can give a bit more detail, detailed feedback, and that way everyone can learn of how examiners assess, these speaking tests. I think 2 was the right amount. I would love to see what you guys think, Azamat and Glyn, if we were to do this again. Is 2 the right amount, or is that too less? Or
I think that's a good number, and I think it's good to keep it up moderately rather than going to extremes and then giving up it.
Yeah. I completely agree. Yeah.
I think with 2 examiners, 6 is fine. I think like 3 for one and 3 for the other. It's tiring. Nobody will want to watch it. But I always think like the more candidates you can get through, the better. But yeah, it is kind of tiring. Please,
so
can
people
you
are
arrange
asking about languages. Oh, sorry, Glenn.
Again, Samia, please can you arrange next time this type of mock test? Yes, in short, we don't know when. I'd like to live stream more, but I don't know. Yeah, I think I know, Brick, you speak a number of languages, right?
Yeah, that's the point. So I speak English. I speak 3.5. Put it that way. I'm still in the process of learning Arabic. I would consider myself a beginner. I've been studying it for about over a year now, but I'm still beginner level. So I completely sympathize with all of you who are learning a new language. I understand the difficulties, as Azamat and Glyn would as well.
What about you, Azmat? You obviously speak Uzbek, you speak Russian, you speak English. Pretty amazing to speak 3 languages at a high level. Do you have any goals or any plans to study any other languages?
Well, I think I'm still a beginner in Arabic, so is Brick. I mean, I used to learn Arabic years ago, but things didn't go well, and then I had to stop the course. And yeah, I'm also beginner in French. I started it back in my lyceum. I should say that I was pretty a good student. And then, what else? I think, yeah, that's it. No. Back in my school years, I also learned Korean a bit. It's like I still can read some texts, even though I can't understand them.
Interesting. Wow.
I've just done something terrible. I've just banned Wong. and I did not mean to ban Wong. That was a complete accident. Basically,
I was thinking, what did he say?
Rizcolor keeps asking the same question. Can you give appropriate score? Can you give appropriate score? Can you give appropriate score? Now, I'm trying not to ban Rizcolor, but just to put him in timeout. But I think just as I was about to click the button, Wong came on and it shifted down.
Okay.
So I do apologize. Debuchi, sorry to you, Wong. If Rizcolor is asking for appropriate score for the previous candidate, Naeem, that score was 6.0. 5 for grammar, 7 for vocab, 6 for fluency and coherence, 6 for pronunciation. Those were my scores, and that means a score of 6.0 for the previous candidate. I don't know, Rizcolor, if you want me to give you a score, but I can't. I haven't seen your language. Mahmoudul says, I feel so worried when examiner asks some questions. Azamat, you're the only one of us that's actually done a live test.
Yes.
Did you feel these nerves when you're sitting in front of the examiner? Do you have any advice to Mahmoudul about maybe what he could do if he's feeling a bit nervous?
Well, as Brick has already mentioned, it's practice. At the end of the day, that actually helps you. It's like practice eventually makes perfect. So try to speak in English as much as you can. And during our previous time when we had the mock session, right? Because of the echo that actually made the things even worse. I certainly underperformed, but when it comes to the real exams that I've taken so far, it's like I've taken the IELTS exam 9 times in total. So during those exam time, I think I used to feel a bit nervous when I was, let's say, a beginner in the IELTS sphere, but then those fear gradually faded since I developed that confidence, and then since I had some consistent practice in English. So yeah, that's why I think practice is the best tool.
Yeah, I always give the advice, like, try to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, not as a language thing, but as a psychological thing. Like, try randomly speaking to people in cafes or on the street. I know it feels horrible, but I think candidates need to get used to pressure. And it's not just about using English under pressure. It's just about being in a situation which is high pressure a lot. I guess, Brick, as a teacher, you probably get this comment a lot from students too, right? About, like, I feel nervous, what can I do? And to what extent do you feel, Brick, that it's a teacher's job to do that, or it's the student's job to kind of, I don't know, see a therapist or work through it?
Well, the nervous thing, it can be because of a number of reasons. The first thing I would say, and this is something I tell all my students, that is completely normal and natural to feel nervous. So that's already taken into consideration, especially I don't know if many people know this, but part 1 of the speaking test, that is often referred to as the warm-up, and is designed to help people relax their nerves. So if you notice, all the questions in part 1, they are questions that you will already know the answer to. For example, a question might be, how many brothers and sisters do you have? You don't need to think, you already know. Or how many bedrooms do you have? You already know these answers. So the exam is designed for, to help you with your nerves. Now, the other thing is, and this is probably the more important thing, that a lot of the times, hi Shahara, by the way, a lot of the times, people often feel nervous because of a lack of preparation. That's kind of an indication that you need to be a bit more prepared. So that should tell you that you just need to focus more and prepare more. And as Glyn said, put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, and that will help you overcome those nerves. Being nervous is part of becoming not nervous. You have to go through that process. Yeah, and sorry, just one more feedback, one more piece of information. Just on a side note, a couple of people were asking, how can we improve our speaking? Again, this is a very common question. I would say the number one thing that people kind of overlook, and I did this myself as well, I got this feedback when I was teaching, is record yourself speaking. Why? Because that will let you know how good you actually are. So when I was first teaching, my trainers, my teachers, they were telling me I'm speaking too fast, and I just disagreed with them. And then they recorded me, and I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. So often when you look at your own performance, you can reflect on it. So I would definitely advise everyone to do that when you're learning a new language.
Yeah, there was. I want to raise a point as well about examiners, and I know sometimes people feel pressure because they think that examiners are these like high and mighty, amazing people. Now, of course, in the test, the examiner has the power, right? They're going to be the person that gives you the score. In 99% of cases, the examiner just wants you to do well. The examiner wants to give you the best mark that they can give you, right? And they're just looking for evidence. We're not trying to find every single mistake. We're just thinking, okay, what's the highest mark that I can give you? We want you to do well. Secondly, examiners are not like the most highly educated gods. They are not people with PhDs in English. In most cases, they are teachers who've been teaching for 3 years who want a little bit of extra money on the side, so they do examining. It's not a particularly difficult job to do. It's not a prestigious job to do. Almost anybody can do it if you have like Band 9 IELTS or if you're an L1 user of English. You do not need to be afraid of IELTS examiners. Some of the stupidest people I've met on the planet are IELTS examiners, and you should not be afraid of them. Glyn, why do you have North American accent even though you're British, I think? Brick, do I sound like I'm from North America to you?
Not at all. You sound British, but there are, to answer Aziz Beck, there are many different accents in the UK. There's many British different accents. But you definitely sound British, though, not North American.
I can do a North American accent for you if you want. This is what it sounds like if you're from America. Oh my God.
Well, that was quite good, actually.
As a spec, obviously as an advanced user of English, do you find is it a nice thing for you to have all of these like different varieties of accents, or does it drive you crazy where it's like a person from Australia, you can't understand them, or a person from, I don't know, Scotland, and they have particularly difficult accents? And are there any accents that you really like in English? That's for you, Azamat, sorry.
Oh, accents. Well.
Yeah.
Well. I thought the question was for Brick, and I was like, just looking.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was waiting for you as well.
Yeah, and I was just reading the questions, especially the last ones, like your age, right? I think having accents is inevitable. It's like unavoidable because literally every human being is different. They're differently built, so that's why I think that's natural. And I mean, people have to learn that, or let's say develop that tolerance for other, let's say, people from other races. Like, for example, it can be a bit problematic to understand people from Bangladesh, India, for example, for somebody who's from the UK, right? It's like, because they pronunciation patterns may not actually suit that to the thing that you've been always exposed to. But yeah, it's like that's quite natural, and you have to face just the reality and go with the flow.
I imagine it's a nightmare though, no? If you're like, you learn all of this pronunciation, this like standard British English, and then you watch Game of Thrones or something where they have all of this variety. I could imagine it could be quite difficult. You have I wouldn't say a very strong Manchester accent, Brick, but if I was just meeting you for the first time, I think I would be able to say you're from the north of England. I don't speak in my Welsh accent anymore. You can probably hear it a little bit. I try to pronounce things as clearly as I can. Do you feel, Brick, that being a teacher changes like your natural accent?
1000%. 100. Completely. Like, to put things into perspective, when I first started to teach, I very quickly moved over to the Middle East. So I was in Abu Dhabi, and no one, including other teachers, could understand what I was saying. So I really had to hone down and first of all speak a lot slower, and then also add emphasis on certain words. Now I know there's a joke. I know Wong mentioned this joke as well. Like British people can't say a bottle of water, which for me I used to say as water. I did say like that. So I had to focus on intonation on these type of words because nobody could understand me. And now I speak completely different. What about you, Glenn? I know you said you touched on this a little bit.
Yeah, I can't go home because when I go home to Wales, if I speak like this, my family thinks that I'm a traitor. They say, like, why are you speaking with this fake English accent? Because people in Wales talk like that, don't they? They talk like that all the time and they don't pronounce anything properly. But if I talk like that to my students, no one will understand the word I'm bloody saying. So so when I go back to Wales, I have to try to like get back into that mentality of like crazy, wild intonation, dropping a bunch of letters. It's tough. Bottle of water.
Glyn, yeah. So Glyn, can you now? Because I can't do it anymore. Can you? If you go back to Wales, can you then automatically change over your accent and speak naturally in your initial Welsh accent?
Not perfectly. There is a term in linguistics for this called code switching.
Yeah.
I'm not a perfect code switcher. People know there's something wrong with me, right? If I go to a pub and I see like an old school friend and I speak to them, I try to put on the Welsh accent, and I can kind of see them looking at me and thinking like, "Yeah, something happened to you. What happened to you? Did you have a brain injury or something?"
Yeah. Okay. I'm not the only one then.
Yeah. All right. I don't want this to become just a total chat. Azamat, well, I don't know. Do you want to say anything to our lovely audience before we say goodbye to them?
Yes, but actually, I guess there was a question by the first candidate. I think he was curious about his individual scores. I think he wrote it in the chat. But apart from that, I've got probably no questions.
It was Azizbek, no?
Well, yeah.
So I see this comment from Azizbek.
Well, not this one. No, that was Asadbek.
If it was to do with his scores, I know we mentioned
like
it in this
score
video,
breakdowns,
but
right?
yeah, I actually deleted it because I was typing it, but
Yeah.
I've deleted the whole. But
I know the
we
score.
did mention it in the video though. Oh, do you know the score? Okay.
Yeah, fluency.
Glenn knows the score.
So the first candidate, fluency and coherence was 6, grammar was 7, vocab was 7, pronunciation was 6.
Okay, so 6.5 overall. But yeah, that was the breakdown. Thank you, Glenn.
I thought maybe the grammar was slightly lower than the vocab. I thought it was like 6.7. So I would have probably gone closer to the 6.0. 6.5 for me, definitely an acceptable score. But I thought, yeah, just closer to 6.0 than 6.5, but could be 6.5.
Yeah. I wouldn't disagree with you there, to be honest. I was trying to like focus on on a number of different things at the same time. Yeah, but yeah.
And finally, Wong is back. I do apologize, Wong. I think I kicked you accidentally. So I want to say thank you to Brick and Azamat for joining. Of course, thanks to the candidates for being so brave coming up. The people who've stayed in the chat and asked the questions and posted comments, thank you so much for your ongoing support. I always feel sad and sorry that I can't give a speaking test to everybody. And the worst thing about doing this is that 95% of people who you engage with are disappointed in you, right? Because you can only give tests to 5% or 10% of people. And so 90% of people just think like that guy disappointed me. So I am sorry for those guys. But again, thank you so much to Brick and Azamat for making this possible. I'll pass it over to you guys, the final words, and then we will end the stream.
Azamat, yeah.
Well, yeah, that was great. That was a great session, and yeah, the candidates were really brave. We should probably encourage. I mean, appreciate their braveness, right? Brevity. So and most candidates wrote that they were looking forward for such things, and I hope that we will be able to do something similar or at least something like this in the future. Maybe individual or maybe collaboratively. But yeah, thank you for everybody for being such patient, and don't get like frustrated and disappointed.
Hmm. Yeah, and I too, Glenn. Thank you for having me on, and Azamat. It was nice to speak to you here. Thanks to everyone, guys. You can join our communities, so the Telegram groups for Glenn and Azamat. I will make one myself very soon. At the moment, I have a WhatsApp group. Subscribe to our channels as well. We will be doing this more frequently. I hope so. But yeah, that's it from me.
Yeah, all the links are in the description of this below. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful Saturday and see you all again very, very soon.